I'm posting on about building the car, about what parts do I still have to put on the car before it's going to be ready to go down the road. Well, you can see at the top shelf there, most of the internal engine parts. Now there's a few things up there that I basically got on a major deal, either through work or through a couple of different swap meets, and got them for spare parts or just like intend to resell. For example, the D&J pistons up there, same thing goes with the Seal Power. Couldn't pass up on the deal, so I just got them. Actually would fit this motor, but I'm probably not going to use them. Connecting rod, bearings, bolts, timing belt, there's a whole bunch of stuff up there. I get down to the second shelf here. A lot of it's electrical, body parts, switches, specialty fittings, bolts, again for it there. Suspension, intercooler tubing, and this is where it starts to get interesting. As you can see, I need to go through and rearrange a few things. There's actually some engine tools up there, some car parts I can up there. One of my toolboxes there, you see some car parts. Get over here to my workbench, which is in dire need of cleaning. There's probably some parts on there, more than likely some underneath. There's at least a box there next to that blue speaker. That's actually a box for one of the master cylinders. Postal boxes there, Summit Racing. There's a few car parts. There's actually the valve body, excuse me, not valve body, rockers out of this engine. I actually need to get another set because one of those rockers was actually damaged anyhow. And a few of my custom tools I made. Let me pan back here. That is actually a shock press I made. I said shock press, not shop press, to compress the motorcycle shock so I can change out the spring if necessary. And there's actually a piece I've got, it's not sitting over here right now, sets on here. You can run a bolt through the bottom of the shock, that way it doesn't try to shoot off on you when you're pumping up the jack here. And at the top, on a motorcycle shock, there's actually two halves that lock the spring from wanting to come off the shock. Well, what happens is this hole is just big enough for those two halves to come through and yet compress the shock spring underneath of it. So once it gets up there far enough, I take the two halves off, decompress the jack, and I can take the spring off the shock. And seeing as I don't know if the springs are on these shocks right now are going to be the correct weight, it was actually more cost effective for me to build this. By the time you count the actual jack there and the metal, I probably got close to $50 in it. On my race bike, I actually had to get them to change the shock spring because I didn't have this at the time. And just to change the spring out cost me $30 at a Honda dealership because it was a Honda shock. I kind of stupid, thought maybe you had to go to a Honda dealership to actually get them to work on anything for a motorcycle, and yeah, turns out no. There's actually a couple places I found since then that would have done it. A few parts up there, along with a bolt bend there. Some of my extra chemicals. You get over here, you can see more tools, more stuff for the car, extra metal. That right there in the center, all those little blue bags, the box below it, and some of the stuff on top of it, that's all 100-foot rolls of electrical wire of different colors and different sizes. Stuff in the corner, some of those totes are motorcycle parts, some of them's car parts. Stuff in that tote, you can see the extra steering column. The rim and tire that's actually supposed to be on the car. The other set of rims I thought about using, but I'm not going to use them. I'm actually using 17-inch rims. That one sitting on the floor is actually 15. And I've got some more metal sitting over here, big sheets. Just need to go through and do a lot of rearranging. Oh, down here on the floor. Those are actually, flip one over here. If you saw in my post or videos about making the control arms, that's actually the jig I made so that I can make them uniform, both sides, left and right. If anybody knows about trying to make stuff that really volatile to the car, for example, control arms, you want to make them as close to matching each other as possible, because any kind of little variance in there can throw out your whole drive system, basically make one tire stick out farther than the other, wants to drift on you through a lane. Everybody's seen the pickup truck or whatever is coming at you, and it's like that truck is driving sideways. Yeah. That's why you got to do jigs when they're making them. And actually the manufacturers do them too. If anybody's watched how it's made, they'll know what I'm talking about. So, just thought I'd give you a walk around. That was stuff in the garage that was used for the car, but not on the car, or used to make the car. Well, thanks for watching.